The ideas of the radical left are wildly unpopular. Normal, rational people don't support abolishing the police. Normal, rational people don't support open borders and the chaos at our southern border. Normal, rational people don't support medically castrating and sterilizing young children. Normal, rational people don't cheer on Hamas terrorists. All of those ideas are wildly unpopular. It's why the left relies on force and power and indoctrination. And so when we shine a light, and then what we've also got to do is increase the costs of institutions going woke, change the cost-benefit analysis. So, for example, in my chapter on big business, I describe how just a few years ago, a rational CEO would give in to the woke mob. Because if you don't, they came for you with the pitchforks and torches and burned you to the ground. And I focus a lot on what happened to Bud Light and Target, where in both instances, they gave in to the woke mob. And indeed, it was their own woke employees pushing it. And the consequence, they lost tens of billions of dollars of market cap. And we've got to change that balance. And I'll tell you one other strategy that I outlined. Conservatives and libertarians who've been successful in business need to invest resources in acquiring organs of transmission of idea. Newsmax is incredibly important. But I urge people, go out and buy a TV station, buy a radio station, buy a newspaper, buy a book publishing house, buy a movie studio, buy a music label. The left understand ideas matter. The right systematically undervalues that. And by the way, the best example of that is Elon Musk buying Twitter, which I discuss at length in the chapter on big tech. It utterly changed the terrain. We need to go on offense, taking these institutions back.
Yeah.
Senator, I don't have another question. You just keep going. I'm listening to this with bated breath. You know, I think you make a good point. I think normal, rational people don't support anti-Semitism as well. And the thing is, this keeps happening. I don't know where, you're the busiest guy on Capitol Hill. I don't know where you found the time to write a detailed book like this. And I mean that honestly, but you could have just kept going and going and going because every week it's something new. Do you think that COVID-19, do you think that helped springboard all of these radical ideas into the culture?
So it did. In the chapter on science, I do a deep dive on COVID-19 and on Dr. Fauci in particular, who drove lockdowns. And it wasn't science, it wasn't medicine, it was politics. And I explain how Fauci did so. And Fauci did so intertwined with big tech, explicitly working with Mark Zuckerberg and with Twitter to suppress any views to the contrary. And, and it is a corruption of science. And that. But between what happened with COVID and also what happens with the Green New Deal, and I'll tell you one of the most interesting things about if you shift science and energy, if you look at right now, the United States is the world's superpower on producing oil and gas. We're the #1 producer of oil on the planet. We're the #1 producer of natural gas on the planet. The left wants us to move to wind and solar. Wind and solar rely on rare earth minerals and critical minerals. China has a dominant position, 60, 70, 80% global supply position in virtually every one of those rare earth minerals. So every time you hear a leftist saying, let's move from oil and gas to wind and solar, understand what they're saying. We should take our entire economy and move from where we're energy independent to where we're completely and utterly dependent on China, and the Chinese communists have America by the throat.
Yeah. Senator, just a quick one. This news just came out this morning. I'm not sure if you've even heard this. Ronna McDaniel and the RNC announced the 4th debate. We had the 3rd debate last night. The 4th debate's going to be in Alabama, and News Nation is going to host it, not Newsmax. NBC had the last one. I want to know what you think about that. But also, after the results of the election Tuesday, what do you make of Ronna McDaniel and how she's managing things at the RNC?
Well, listen, I like Ronna personally. I watched the debate last night. As you know, I do a podcast every week, Verdict with Ted Cruz. We have a brand new podcast this morning analyzing the debate, who won, who lost. Vivek obviously attacked Ronna last night. It was a fiery moment. I thought it was a little bit unfair. It is maddening that we lost these elections. But the head of the RNC is not winning or losing elections nationally. There are broader problems that we need to address. The way you win elections is you give people a reason to vote. You campaign in bold colors and not pale pastels.